This is the application for the Tapo C260. Here we could see it listed on my front page with all of my devices. It gives you the name, its location, and then there's a quick toggle to set the camera into privacy mode, which actively moves the camera ball lens so that it's not actively looking at you, and there's a visual that it's not actually looking at you, which is really good. If I select the camera, this will open up the live feed, and currently I have it locked in a singular location so it won't pan tilt around on me. At the top here we can see the name of the camera as well as its connectivity, and coming down right here we can see this is our live feed. If I swipe left to right, this is my ability to add other Tapo cameras to this view. So if I swipe and press the plus sign, here are my cameras that are currently accessible to me, so I can do those two right there. Maybe I even want to do that one. So now I have 4, and we'll give that a second to load up. And now I have the ability to swipe through my cameras right from here. If I tap on this in the lower left-hand corner, there's a grid. This will allow me to bring up all 4 of the cameras in a live view, which is very helpful. Double tapping in this view also will zoom you in, which is good, but you can also pinch to zoom. So if I continue to pinch to zoom there, you can see just how close you can get this stuff. And double tapping will pull that back out. To the right of our multi-cam view, we have the ability to swap between our 4K 8 megapixel to our 720 or auto, which will change it as needed depending on bandwidth. Next to that, our day-night mode. Right now I have it set to auto, but we can manually force it to stay in day mode or stay in night mode. And then to the right of that, we have full screen view, which does shift things around a little bit. At the bottom here now we have the icons that were under where we were talking about. And then if I tap, you can see how that layout looks. I understand that it does look a little different, so I want to point that out. Coming down to our next row, we have our camera icon. Selecting that will take a still image of whatever happens to be on screen at the moment. To the right of that, we have our record. This is going to record any action that's happening right now. Now, if my cat would come out, we could see that, but she's a princess and sleeps most of the day, so we won't get any action there. To the right of that, we have our microphone record volume. Now, you did see me kind of have it tapped off in the red. That's because I like to have it as high as I possibly can for testing purposes. To the right of that, we have our call option. So we can turn our microphone on and off from here, and we could turn our speaker on and off from here. That's from the camera side. We also have the ability to tap to call. This is full duplex, and my voice is going through the camera, as well as if I could hear anything from the camera coming this way, I would be able to hear that. Now we're going to bring that back up really quickly because you might have noticed there is a tab for our pan tilt controls. So we can, if we need to, move our pan tilt while we're in a conversation. To the right of that, we have our settings for our pan tilt, which will be how much pan tilting will happen based on tapping a button. 5 degrees, 10 degrees, or 15 degrees. And then this is our pan tilt correction. If we come to our video call and come up to that settings area, it will be for our camera speaker volume as well as our camera microphone volume. But we're gonna close out of there and come down because we have another area for our talk. This talking requires you to press and hold, and you can kind of see around my thumb that the button is blue and has pulsating lines around it. That's letting you know that people on the other end could hear you. We also have our pan tilt controls again, and just like before, if we select this on either one of them, it will allow us to access those same options that we had previously. Now we have our pan tilt controls to the right of that, and here we can see I can move the camera around as I want just by tapping the buttons. We also have pre-positioned viewpoints, so I have viewpoint 1, but if I wanted to change that, I can scroll this up maybe and move this over here, and for whatever reason we'll say that's viewpoint 2. I can simply select and save, and then if I select viewpoint 1, that brings me back to my viewpoint, or if I want a quick toggle between the next one, well, there it goes, back up to that one. I'm going to bring it back to where we had it, and you can set up quite a few of those, as you can see there. Our pan tilt controls, well, here we can create panoramics of 360, 270, or 180. So if I do this and say create a panoramic, what this will do is create a pan of 270 degrees starting over here in the corner. And once it does this, what will happen is it will create a still image, allowing me to quickly select specific areas that I want to view. Now, it does take a little bit of time to set this up, so we're letting the camera run through its optioning, and I'm just going to keep talking so that you kind of can see what it does when it's creating this. So now that the camera is calibrated, it is creating the image. So what it was doing was it was finding the exact center, and now it is creating said image. And once it's done, what it allows you to do, so instead of having to use your pan tilt controls, you would be able to just select specific spots on the still image, and it will quickly snap to those locations. And I'm just going to let it finish up. And I do want to save that to the memory card. And here you can see, so if I drag this here, the camera will quickly snap to that location, or here, quickly to that location. And notice if I select that, I can recreate this. Now I'm going to come back here, come back to my center point, and that was our pan. I did kind of get ahead of myself. We have our patrol mode. So patrol mode, if I select our settings, it's our panning degree, but we can select a horizontal patrol. So there we go. Camera is patrolling horizontally. And it just kind of looks through things. Now we have access to our viewpoints. If we wanted to, from here, I could just click, just like we could before. And that's all under our pan tilt controls. To the right of that, we have our alarm. This is to enable, if it detects movement, that it will actually set the alarm off. So I can't set the alarm off right now, but I did do a test before. So here's what that sounds like. To the right of the alarm, we have our privacy mode. Selecting privacy mode will put the camera into privacy mode. As we talked about before, the camera lens tilts down and you cannot see anything. So when it's in this mode, it does not record anything. You cannot access the live feed, etc. We're going to exit privacy mode to bring that back up. And here we go. Camera, you can see it was rotating from the bottom. Under here, we have our tag on and off. This will put a blue box around specific target types, such as person, pet, or vehicle. This is inside, so mostly person and pet, kind of giving you an easier understanding of what the camera is seeing. AI zoom is a great feature, which right now doesn't look all that helpful. But when you get a target moving through frame, the camera will automatically follow and zoom in on that person. It is a great feature that Tapo has started offering in some of their newer cameras. Just to the right of that, we have our Tapo Care. This is going to be for the paid services that Tapo offers. 98% to 99% of the camera's functionality is not locked behind a paywall. However, if you want 30 days of cloud storage instead of local storage, that's part of Tapo Care. Rich notifications, meaning if you don't just want a text-based notification, but you also want a thumbnail image, that's part of Tapo Care. Video summary, also part of Tapo Care, as well as weekly reports and smart sorting. And baby snap and growth recording, I have not tested that, but with an indoor camera, that would be more useful than with an outdoor camera. Coming down, we have our download and playback area. Currently, I have the camera recording in 24/7, so that's what these lighter shaded areas are going to be. If we come down to this one right here, this is an example of the tagging, which you could see right there on my pet. It is showing a blue box. It is showing a pet. It is indicating that it is a pet, and she is actively messing around with her string and meowing. So there, that is pet detected, meow detected, as well as motion detected. Blue lines indicate action that has happened, such as me walking through frame, or this is probably going to be a chunk of me testing stuff. Yeah. There's me testing stuff, while the lighter blue is going to be for the 24/7 recording. Now, you might notice that there is a face there. We'll get into that a little later to talk about facial recognition. However, if I come up to my recording, select speed, I could slow this down to 1/16 or speed it up to 16 times faster. We also have the ability to access the SD card, which is where I'm saving stuff, or the cloud, should you be using that. If I come down to a selected clip, if I select the dots, I can download this directly. I can correct the event type. So maybe it wasn't a pet or a person, but I can apply that, which will make the actual AI detection smarter. And now that I pause my video, you could see in our playback, we have play, pause, microphone, just like we had before, still image, record, clip, or make this full screen. If I select the clip, this will allow me to take larger detected clips and cut them to make it much simpler. So let's say like this, I just need that, and I can do that. And that would be the clip that gets downloaded from that 3-minute video down to like 20 seconds, which is very helpful. Now, if I select my calendar over here, the blue dots indicate places that actually have video. And if I use the arrow key, we can see that in this view, but I can also do that in this view where I can do day by day, going back to different days. And some of the days I had the camera off. If I select the three dots in the upper right-hand corner here, this will allow me to select multiple videos, go click, 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 and I can delete them if I wanted to, or I can uncheck them and hit back that way. If we come over to our downloads here, we could see individual things that we can download. Something is currently downloading, but I can select a clip. I can share, favorite, download, or delete this clip from my downloads area. That was all under our downloads and playback. Now, new for this camera is facial recognition. Notice it's giving a summary over the last 7 days. I have had the camera off for a bit, but we have familiar faces, one familiar face, and it was seen 9 times. That's going to be this blue. And then we have 3 stranger faces, and they've been seen 5 times, and that's today. If we want to manage this, we simply select, and the pictures, I'm not going to lie, they're not great, and the camera is still learning. But we have up here our familiar faces. I created one. This is my familiar face. It will show a timeline as to when it's been seen. If I select there, it will bring up that particular image. So this is kind of the quick way of doing filtering. And then we have, are these the same person? So if I select details, here's the other really bad pictures of me, but we're gonna show you that in another location. Up here, 3 dots, I can edit videos or I can delete from familiar. We're gonna leave that horrible picture there right now. I can edit the name. I could change the photo, thankfully, because that's really bad. I could change its relationship or I could delete from favorites. Here, we're gonna come back. If you had multiples, you could filter for last added, least detected, or detection within the last 7 days. You can also hit the plus sign, manually take a photo, or choose a photo from your photo library. All the photos that you're seeing here were taken by the camera itself. Now here we've got a bunch of strangers, and all of these strangers are actually me, taken from multiple angles, and it shows you the number of detections that it has. So let's say this particular one right here, it's showing where it was detected. And if I wanted to add this to my family or delete, I can say delete, or I can add to familiars. I can create a new familiar, or I can add to an existing. So I can say, yep, that is the same person. And the more that you do this, the smarter the AI detection is going to get. So this is me with a hat on today while I was testing things out. I could say, yes, add to existing, that horrible picture of me, and it has been added. So now it should do better detecting me. If I come back up here and we see, are these the same person? Well, 1, 2, yep, those are the same person combined with those now added to this particular person. These, it still hasn't figured out are me, but if I add them, it will make the AI smarter and I'll get less false flags. Now, this is all done locally, so the more information that you feed it, the better it will get over time. I did have my wife's picture in there. I was testing that out, but she doesn't like to show up in videos, so I took it out before this, and it could distinguish between the two of us. You have another spot for Tapo Care. You can get rid of that at the bottom because we talked about Tapo Care up there. And those are all the controls for the Tapo C260. Now we move on to our settings by selecting the sprocket icon in the upper right-hand corner. This is going to be for your Wi-Fi connection, firmware updates, things of that nature, other sensitive information as well, so I won't be showing you that. Here we have our detection. If I select detection, right now I have auto tracking off because I was testing something else. However, I can select track all activities, meaning even if it's motion, it will follow it, or I can specifically select types to track. In my case, I want to do persons and pet. I will hit save, and now it will AI track people and pets. So maybe if my princess decides to come through frame, we'll be able to see that. Now we have detection zones. Right now, it is showing everything. However, I can set up unique detection zones for each type. So here we have motion, person, vehicle, facial recognition. Maybe I want to edit for my pet. I only care if she's over in this side doing something. And I can add another pet zone right there, add another one, add another one. You get the idea. I can delete the last one. I can clear all and just move on to a different one where I say people, I only care about over here. So I would have a pet zone there, and a person zone over there. And I could save, and then it will save those specific zones. Now, I prefer all activity get tracked, so I leave it at all. But this is up to you. Now, we also have detect types of motion. So here is all general motion. Do I want to detect general motion? And how sensitive do I want that to be? And again, you could see, you could do that for person, for pet. Vehicle I have off. facial recognition. If you want to see those graphs that I was doing before, you have to come in here and turn that on. And here we have our line cross detection. Well, what is line cross? If I turn this on, I can make changes. So here, if somebody crosses, right now it's saying either way. But if I tap here, if somebody crosses the line going this way, now it's going that way, I will get a notification. So right now it's set up for either. This is a very interesting feature, and you could see we could set up multiples of that, in that if there's a specific area that you don't necessarily care if there is motion in that area, but if somebody walks towards an object, you care about that. That's where line cross can come in handy. You also have camera tampering. Do you want to be notified if the camera is messed with? And then a sensitivity rating for that. You also have for sound detection, baby crying, glass breaking, dog barking, cat meowing. Cat meowing, I have been able to test. She has set this off a couple of times, as we actually saw in that video where she was playing. And glass breaking has been interesting because it has gone off for me when glass wasn't breaking, but rather me moving dishes around in my kitchen. So the sensitivity of some of these things could be adjusted as you see right there. Play with it, find out what works best for you. Next, we have our alarm. This will allow us to turn on our alarm, and then it's alarm type, sound and light, or do we want just light or just sound? Sound type, we've got default, custom, we have volume, whether it's the default sound or a custom sound, and then our default sounds are siren, emergency, and red alert. We're going to stop that so my poor cat doesn't go nuts. If we come to create a custom sound, I could select here. We'll leave the name as custom sound 1, but I can tap to record. This is a custom sound. I'm sorry for setting off the alarm. Here's your treat. Enjoy. Turn that off. Play. That will play from the recording here, and I can save. And now this will push the sound to my camera downstairs. So whenever it detects motion and the siren is turned on, it would set off that custom sound.
I'm doing this for a second time. I don't remember what I said the first time. This is the custom alarm sound.
We have our alarm duration. Well, you have default or you can customize, which is anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds. And then if you need an in-between, that's when you would select custom. So we'll just put that back on default. And then we have our alarm schedule. You could do all day or during the day, which is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. During the night, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then a custom schedule. If we come in here and select, we can set our time frame and days, which is really good. I appreciate the level of customization that Tapo gives you for just something like the alarm, honestly. We have our pan tilt controls. If I come into here, we have patrol mode. We have patrol mode is currently off, but I can turn that on. But before we can do that, we have to mark 2 positions. So these are different than our previous layouts. So we're going to select that one as a mark. And you can see layover time for that position. How long will it stay there? 2 minutes up to an hour. So we'll say, yeah, we'll do that and save. So this is different than our other patrol mode where this will actively move between 2 points that you have here. We can also reorder them, but only when it's off. So that is our active actual patrol mode. Here we have our pan tilt angle. We saw this in other locations, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, or 15 degrees. And then pan tilt correction. This will rotate the camera around, putting it back to its true neutral position. We have our Tapo Care. This is another place to access that. We don't need to. Storage and recording. Well, right now we have our local storage. It's turned on. Our local storage is an SD card. Here you could see the actual storage being used on the card. And then do we want to loop the recording, meaning as it gets to the full position, it will just override the oldest video. And then you have your format SD card right down there. Recording schedule. Well, right now I have continuous recording on for everything, but maybe we just want detection recording or no recording at all. I select the edit. I select what type I want. So this is detection, and you can just kind of come in here and click what you want. And then you can see there's even a black spot, which will not do any recording at all. I don't want to save any of that because I want to keep my 24/7 recording going, because that's one of the benefits of having a powered indoor camera. However, if you live in an area where you're not allowed to record audio with your video, this is where you can come and turn that off. Moving on, we have video and display. We have our video quality. This is our 4K. This is 720, or we could put it to auto. We have our frame rate. Right now I have it at the highest, which is 25, but you can lower that to 20 or 15, depending on your needs. Invert image. Well, I wish they would show you what this is, but if for whatever reason you need to turn your camera upside down, pretty much. That's what invert image does. Privacy zone. we have to set that up. But what this will allow you to do is set up a box that will prevent anything from being seen. So if I save this, this will not show up in my recordings. This will not show up in my live feed. And if I come to the live feed, here you go, you will see a black box allowing me to not see anything. The one problem with a privacy zone on a pan tilt camera is the box stays and the camera moves. So not as useful on a pan tilt camera. And I have tested other pan tilt cameras that will actually prevent you from turning on privacy zone if your pan tilt options are still in place. Image setting, we have kind of color temperature. So here's original. We can do cool, warm, soft, and you can see it's kind of changing the image. And then you also have the ability to change your image brightness. So if I come here, go back to original, and you've got a fairly dark area that you need to brighten up, you could do that, and you can see it kind of getting brighter there. We're going to put this back to 50% because that's what it was at. And I'm going to select back. Detection tagging. This is the blue box that we talked about around a person or a pet. And it also has tag label. So you'll be able to know what is actually being tagged or viewed. On-screen information, you've got your display the time and date stamp, which I appreciate. You can come in here and select what type you'd like, how you'd like it displayed, as well as if you want 24 or 12-hour display. Here we have display text. This is also useful if you have the camera name. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But maybe you have this in a specific location, such as docking bay 3. You could select that and it will become part of the video that you get to download later. And then you've got your display, the Tapo logo. Coming down, we have display tag on screen. This will be network connection and live. You could turn that on and off. It's just extra information. Coming down, we have turn on and off our LED status light. So if you wanted this to be a little more stealthy, you could turn off the LED status light. Here we have our Wi-Fi connection. We could change our network right from there. We have enable privacy mode. If we do that, this is just another place that we can toggle that on and off from. Here we have notification, rich notification, you need Tapo Care for. And then we have our types, which you can select what you want to be notified of. And then schedule, just like before, always, or during the day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., during the night, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., or customize your time. I will leave it as is. And coming back, we have our advanced settings. This is camera account, which will allow this camera to work with third-party devices such as NVRs, NAS, and RTPS. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Don't turn it on. Network settings, that's going to give you access to static IPs, things of that nature. Again, if you don't know what that is, stay out of there. That's why it's under advanced. Power line frequency, auto, 50 hertz or 60 hertz. That's generally going to be if you get flickering in your video because you get light bulbs from a different location than the camera's physically located. Under that, we have UPnP, on or off. Don't know what that is, stay out of there. Voice call mode, you have standard or compatibility. What this will do is do everything in the camera's power to give you a stable connection for your video and audio, making the video as clear as it can possibly be. Same thing with our display. You have hardware acceleration or compatibility mode. If you need to have a video feed regardless of your connectivity, you're going to put that display mode down to compatibility mode instead of hardware acceleration. Diagnostic, on or off. If you do this, hypothetically, if there's a problem with the camera and you need to give Tapo information, you come into the diagnostic, turn it on, and it will start gathering a bunch of information. If you're not gathering information to send to Tapo, there really isn't any reason to turn that on. And coming back, we have under advanced settings, we have share device. This will allow you to share the camera view with another person who has their own Tapo account. So you just send them an invite that way. We have our smart actions. This is Tapo's if this then that scenarios. If a camera detects motion, turn on a Tapo light. These are actually really good. And the fact that they kind of give you preset ones already makes it even easier. You can set up actions based on whether you're home or leaving home, or you could set up your own. So automation, every time when this happens, then this happens. And it's really simple. And I'm really happy that that's integrated into the Tapo app itself, especially if you have other Tapo devices. You have your user guide, so welcome guide and mounting guide if you need them. You have your support center, user manual, product information, all the extra things that I might not be able to cram into this video, they're listed right there. We have our firmware, so you could select this and check for firmware. However, if during the setup process you left it on the auto, check for firmware updates at like 3 a.m., that's perfectly fine, and that's where it would do it from. And then you have reboot the camera or remove the camera from your Tapo application. And that has been everything that we can do in the Tapo app for the Tapo C260.